On the shores of Ghana, where the Atlantic Ocean crashes against the golden sand, lies a place steeped in history and mystery. Here sits Elmina Castle. This imposing structure is no ordinary castle, it is a fortress that has withstood the test of time and witnessed the unfolding of countless stories. It's a powerful reminder of a dark and complex past, a past that has shaped the present in profound ways. Elmina Castle is the oldest European building in Sub-Saharan Africa, a relic from an era of exploration and conquest. Its history spans over 500 years, a testament to changing times and enduring legacies. The walls of this castle have seen the rise and fall of empires, the ebb and flow of fortunes. The castle stands as a symbol of European colonialism, the transatlantic slave trade, and the resilience of the African spirit. It is a place where the past and present collide, where the echoes of history can still be heard. Elmina's story begins long before European ships sailed to African shores. The area was already a thriving hub of trade, a center of commerce and culture. The bustling markets were filled with traders and merchants exchanging goods and stories from distant lands. Gold, ivory, and other precious commodities flowed through the region, attracting the attention of those from far and wide. Gold, ivory, and other goods flowed through the region, attracting the attention of Portuguese explorers. These explorers, driven by the promise of wealth and adventure, set their sights on the rich lands of Africa. In 1471, they arrived on the coast of what is now Ghana. Their arrival marked the beginning of a new chapter in the history of Elmina, one that would bring both prosperity and pain. Intrigued by the potential for trade, they established a presence, forever altering the course of history. The Portuguese built trading posts and forts, laying the foundations for what would become a complex and often tragic relationship between Europe and Africa. Within the walls of Elmina Castle, stories of hope and despair, of freedom and captivity, are etched into the very stones. The dark dungeons and storied halls serve as a poignant reminder of the human cost of ambition and greed. Today, Elmina Castle stands not only as a historical monument but also as an educational site. Visitors from around the world come to learn about its history, to pay their respects and to reflect on the lessons of the past. As we look to the future, the preservation of Elmina Castle and its stories is crucial. It serves as a bridge between generations, a link between the past and the present, and a beacon of hope for a better tomorrow. The Portuguese, eager to secure their trading interests, began constructing Elmina Castle in 1482. They called it São Jorge de Mina, St. George of the Mine. The castle was initially a trading post. It served as a base for exchanging goods with local African populations. The Portuguese traded goods like textiles, brassware, and weapons for gold, ivory, and pepper. Elmina Castle was built with the labor of Africans. They carried stones, mixed mortar, and shaped the fortress that would later become a symbol of their oppression. The castle's design, with its high walls, cannons, and strategic location, spoke to the Portuguese desire for control. It was a symbol of their growing power and influence in the region. The construction of Elmina Castle coincided with a pivotal period in history, the Age of Exploration. This era marked a time when European nations were driven by an insatiable curiosity and a desire to expand their horizons. They sought new lands, new peoples, and new opportunities for trade and wealth. European powers, driven by a thirst for new trade routes, wealth, and knowledge, were venturing further and further beyond their borders. The seas became highways for explorers, merchants, and adventurers, all eager to discover what lay beyond the known world. The promise of untold riches and the allure of the unknown spurred them on. The discovery of the Americas in the late 15th century had a profound impact on the course of global trade. This monumental event opened up new avenues for commerce and exchange, forever altering the economic landscape. The Americas offered vast resources and opportunities that European powers were quick to exploit. The transatlantic slave trade, a dark chapter in human history, emerged in the wake of these explorations. As European nations established colonies in the New World, the demand for labor grew exponentially. This demand was met through the brutal and inhumane practice of enslaving African people and transporting them across the Atlantic. The demand for labor on plantations in the Americas, particularly for sugar production, fueled a horrific trade in human beings. Sugar, a highly lucrative commodity, required intensive labor to cultivate and process. plantation owners turned to the transatlantic slave trade to meet their labor needs, resulting in the forced migration and enslavement of millions of Africans. Africans, forcibly taken from their homes, were transported across the Atlantic in brutal conditions. The journey, known as the Middle Passage, was marked by unimaginable suffering and high mortality rates. Those who survived the harrowing voyage faced a life of enslavement and hardship in the Americas. Elmina Castle, once a symbol of trade, would soon become a key site in this inhumane system. Originally built as a trading post, it transformed into a hub for the transatlantic slave trade. The castle's dungeons held countless African captives, awaiting their forced journey across the ocean. This dark legacy is a stark reminder of the human cost of the age of exploration. The 16th century marked a turning point for Elmina Castle. While gold remained a significant commodity, the trade in enslaved Africans began to overshadow all else. European powers, including the Portuguese, Dutch, British, and others, competed for control of the lucrative slave trade. Elmina Castle, strategically located on the coast, became a central holding point for enslaved Africans. Thousands upon thousands of Africans were imprisoned within the castle's dungeons. The conditions were horrific. Men, women, and children were crammed into dark, airless spaces, deprived of basic human dignity. Many died from disease, starvation, or despair. Those who survived the ordeal endured a harrowing journey across the Atlantic known as the Middle Passage. Section 5. A crossroads of captivity, the transatlantic slave trade. This dark chapter in human history saw the forced migration of millions of Africans to the Americas, where they were subjected to unimaginable hardships and brutality. Elmina Castle, located on the coast of present-day Ghana, became a major hub in the transatlantic slave trade. Built by the Portuguese in 1482, it was originally intended as a trading post for gold and other goods. However, it soon became a central point for the trafficking of human lives. From its dungeons, countless Africans were loaded onto ships bound for the Americas. These individuals were torn from their families and communities, often through violent raids and wars orchestrated by European traders and their African allies. The journey across the Atlantic, known as the Middle Passage, was brutal and dehumanizing. Enslaved Africans were packed tightly into the holds of ships with barely enough room to move. Shackled together, they often lay in their own filth, with little food or water. Disease was rampant, and the stench was unbearable. The conditions were so horrific that many perished during the voyage, their bodies thrown overboard without ceremony. The survivors of this harrowing journey faced a life of enslavement in the Americas, where they were forced to work on plantations, in mines, and in households, under the constant threat of violence and punishment. The horrors of Elmina Castle and the Middle Passage represent a collective trauma that transcends generations. The pain and suffering endured by those who passed through its gates are etched into the very walls of the castle. Today, Elmina Castle stands as a stark reminder of the millions of Africans who were forcibly removed from their homes, stripped of their freedom, and subjected to unimaginable cruelty. It serves as a place of remembrance and reflection for visitors from around the world. The legacy of the slave trade continues to impact societies across the globe. The cultural, social, and economic ramifications of this dark period in history are still felt today, as communities work to heal and address the injustices of the past. The story of the transatlantic slave trade is a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring quest for justice and equality. Section 6. Echoes of Injustice, the Legacy of Elmina. Elmina Castle's role in the transatlantic slave trade casts a long shadow. For centuries, the castle stood as a symbol of oppression, a physical manifestation of the horrors inflicted upon millions. The trauma of this history continues to resonate, reminding us of the importance of confronting the past and fighting for justice. The castle's legacy is not only one of suffering, it is also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the horrors they endured, enslaved Africans never lost their dignity or their will to resist. Their stories of strength, courage, and hope continue to inspire us today. Section 7. A nation reclaims its history. Ghana's independence. In 1957, Ghana gained independence from British colonial rule, marking a turning point in the history of Elmina Castle. No longer a symbol of oppression, the castle became a powerful reminder of Ghana's struggle for freedom and self-determination. The Ghanaian government recognized the importance of preserving Elmina Castle as a historical site. Efforts were made to restore the castle and transform it into a museum and a memorial. This transformation symbolized Ghana's commitment to confronting its past and honoring the memory of those who suffered within the castle's walls. Section 8. Elmina today, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Today, Elmina Castle stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a place of immense historical significance. Visitors from around the world come to learn about the transatlantic slave trade, to pay their respects, and to reflect on the importance of human rights and dignity. The castle serves as a poignant reminder of the horrors of slavery and the importance of fighting against all forms of oppression. The castle's transformation into a site of memory and education is a testament to the power of confronting the past. By acknowledging the atrocities that occurred within its walls, Elmina Castle challenges us to create a more just and equitable future. Section 9. Remembering the past, shaping the future. Elmina Castle stands as a powerful symbol of the enduring legacy of the transatlantic slave trade. Its history is a stark reminder of the horrors of human greed and the importance of fighting for justice and equality. As we remember the millions who suffered within the castle's walls, let us honor their memory by working to build a world where such atrocities are never repeated. Elmina Castle is not just a relic of the past, it's a call to action. It's a reminder that we must never forget the lessons of history and that we must always strive